Very warm welcome to BBC News, broadcast to our viewers on public television in the US and around the globe. My name's Mike Hembley. Well, let's just take you back to those pictures from Beijing's Great Hall of the People. Hu Jintao there speaking. He's outlining reforms to the economy and pledging the party to better government and a more effective fight against corruption. And later, we will see the transfer of power to a new selected team. China, of course, widely expected to be the world's biggest economy before long. Well, the BBC's John Sudworth is there in Beijing. John, this is a long speech, I think set to run about an hour and a half. What are we hearing?
Well, this is the end of Hu Jintao's decade in power, and this speech is, of course, partly valedictory, but it will also, importantly, be setting some sort of roadmap in place for the direction of the party through the next decade. There's no doubt about it. China's leaders think that the crowning achievement of the past few years in power has, of course, been the economy, their ability through China's boom years to lift millions of people out of poverty. But that's been done at a cost, of course, an environmental and a social cost. And what we have also been hearing from Hu Jintao, very interestingly, are the key areas for reform. We've heard him speak about the need for economic reform to change China's model of growth. We've heard him talk about the need for political reform. Don't read that, though, of course, as any likelihood of a headlong rush to democracy, but it's been there nonetheless. And most importantly, I think, within the first few minutes of his speech, he raised the issue of corruption. He said it remains a serious problem, and I think that's a real acknowledgement by the party that there is growing discontent and that it is a real threat to their legitimacy.
Because, of course, John, we talk about a flagging economy in China. In fact, that's pretty relative, isn't it? This is an economy that's grown 6 times richer during the time Hu Jintao has been in power. I think there was 11% growth for 5 years continuously. But with all that has come, of course, a huge growth in people's expectations, which at the moment is not being met.
Well, that's right. That has raised expectations, and of course now we are in a different sort of era. The years of double-digit growth are almost certainly gone forever. There is an acknowledgement by the party leadership that that is the case, and also that kind of growth is unsustainable, that in itself it leads to serious problems, not least pressure on the environment, pressures because of the huge and growing gap between rich and poor in China. So there's this acknowledgement that the model of growth needs to change. The thing that everybody's talking about is trying to shift this economy to one based more on domestic consumption, on the money in people's pockets, to get Chinese people spending themselves. And Hu Jintao has reflected on that today. But of course, it's a serious challenge. And as you say, even though growth is still at levels that many a European or North American country would be deeply envious of, it's likely to come out well above 7% this year. China needs it to be at that kind of level or above, because, of course, without it, millions of people will begin to question the very basis for power and authority in this country. If livelihoods don't continue to improve, if people can't see things getting better, then the whole basis on which the Communist Party rules here is called into question. So the economy is absolutely key to the next 10 years, and there's been a clear recognition of that in General Secretary, because of course that's the position that matters here, General Secretary Hu Jintao's speech today.
John, thank you very much for that. We'll get more insights from you, of course. Let's drop back now, back inside the Great Hall of the People. President Hu Jintao's speech still has some way to run. Back to that speech and our translator.
In distribution and redistribution, we need to put emphasis on equity. We need to standardize the distribution system to protect legal income and outlaw illegal income. We need to protect people's income. This is very important. To this end,